The conference room on the Galactic Council station was massive. Hundreds of alien species sat in their designated seats, their forms ranging from towering insectoids to floating energy beings. At the far end, in the smallest section reserved for newer members, Saturday Ambassador Hana of Earth. She had been doing this job for 5 years now. 5 long years of being ignored, dismissed, and occasionally mocked. Today was no different. "The human wishes to speak," announced the council director, a being that looked like a combination of an octopus and a tree. His tone carried barely hidden contempt. Hana stood. Her dark suit looked plain compared to the elaborate garments and natural displays of the other delegates. "Honored council members, I come with urgent news. The Vrelian Empire has attacked our colonies on Titan and Europa. 340,000 civilians are dead. We request immediate intervention as stated in the Protection Accords." A sound like laughter echoed through the chamber. It came from the Vrelian section, where Ambassador Kroth sat on his elevated platform. The Vrelians looked somewhat like muscular bulls that learned to walk upright, with thick gray skin and small, cruel eyes. "Intervention?" Kroth's voice boomed. "Those moons are in disputed territory. Your kind built settlements where they did not belong. We simply removed the problem." Hana felt her jaw tighten. Those were families, children, scientists. They were irrelevant. The council director interrupted. "The Vrelian ambassador is correct. The matter falls under territorial disputes, not protection protocols. This council will not intervene." "Then what good is this council?" Hana demanded, her voice rising. "We joined 47 years ago. We accepted your restrictions. We limited our fleet to 47 ships as required. We stopped all weapons research you deemed dangerous. We paid the fees, followed the rules, and for what? So our people can be slaughtered while you watch?" "You accepted the terms of membership freely," another delegate said. This one looked like a crystal formation that somehow spoke. "If Earth finds the terms unsatisfactory, you may leave." Kroth laughed again, a deep rumbling sound. "Yes, little human, leave. Then you will have no protection at all. My empire has 10,000 warships. How will your pathetic 47 vessels stand against us? Accept your place. Be grateful we allow you to exist at all." The chamber filled with various sounds of agreement from the other species. Some nodded, others made their equivalent gestures. None spoke in Earth's defense. Hana looked around the room slowly. She memorized the faces, the species, the ones who sat silent while humans died. Then she smiled, and something in that smile made a few of the closer delegates shift uncomfortably. "I see," she said quietly. "Thank you for making your position clear. Earth will remember this day." She walked out without asking permission to leave. 8 hours later, Hana sat in a secure communication room on her personal ship. The holographic display showed a man in a military uniform. Commander Dayan had served in Earth's defense forces for 33 years. His hair was gray at the temples now, but his eyes were sharp. "They refused?" he asked. Those tones suggested he already knew the answer. "They laughed," Hana replied. "The Vrelians killed 340,000 of our people, and the council called it a territorial dispute." Dayan nodded slowly. "And your recommendation?" "We tried peace. We tried playing by their rules. They see kindness as weakness and restraint as fear." Hana leaned forward. "The leash is off, Commander. Do what needs to be done." For the first time in years, Dayan smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "I'll contact the Admiral." "How long do we have?" "The Vrelians are mobilizing a larger fleet. Intelligence suggests they plan to attack Mars next, maybe Earth itself. They want to make an example of us. Show the other weak species what happens when you challenge them. Then we'll teach them a different lesson." Dayan's fingers moved across his console. I'm sending the authorization codes now. Protocol Nightfall is active. Nightfall? Hannah asked. She had heard whispers of various protocols, but most of the details were classified above her level. You'll see soon enough, Ambassador. Make sure you're watching the news feeds. And Hannah? Dahyun's expression softened slightly. You did the right thing. All those years of diplomacy, it wasn't for nothing. We needed to be sure. We needed to give them every chance to be better than they are. And now? Now we stop pretending to be harmless. The transmission ended. Hannah sat in the darkness of her cabin, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Captain Tay was stationed at Mars Defense Platform 7. She wondered if he knew what was about to happen. She wondered if anyone really knew. On Mars, Captain Tay received the encrypted message at 0400 station time. He read it 3 times to make sure he understood correctly. Then he called his senior staff to the bridge. We're going to red alert, he announced. This is not a drill. We have confirmed intelligence that the Vrelian Second Fleet is approaching. 4,200 ships. His crew exchanged worried glances. Mars had 20 defense platforms and maybe 30 ships in the area. Against 4,000, it would be a massacre. Sir, his second officer said carefully. Shouldn't we evacuate? Tay shook his head. Check your consoles. New orders just came through. Around the bridge, officers began accessing their terminals. Eyes widened. Someone gasped. A young woman at the navigation station looked up with wonder on her face. Sir, these readings can't be right. It says there are... She trailed off, rechecking her screen. 2,847 vessels. Tay finished for her, emerging from hidden positions throughout the solar system. The readings are correct, Lieutenant. But where did they all come from? We only have 47 ships in the fleet. That's the treaty limit. Tay's smile was cold and sharp. We have 47 ships registered with the Galactic Council. Turns out, we have quite a few more that we didn't bother mentioning. He pulled up a system-wide tactical display. Throughout the solar system, the board was lighting up with new contacts. Ships emerged from asteroid fields where they had been hidden for decades. They rose from beneath the ice of Europa and the methane lakes of Titan. They uncloaked near Jupiter, Neptune, even in orbit around the Sun itself. All units, this is Mars Command. Tay broadcast. Welcome back to active duty. Let's show our guests what hospitality really means. The Vrelian fleet was 3 days out. They were coming to destroy humanity. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been holding back. Now, they were done. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Humanity, the weak little species that could barely defend a single star system, was about to be crushed by the mighty Vrelian Empire. Betting pools opened on every civilized station. The longest odds gave Earth 6 hours before complete surrender. On the Vrelian flagship Dominator, war leader Gresh watched his tactical displays with satisfaction. 4,200 warships, the entire Second Fleet, moving in perfect formation toward the human homeworld. It would be glorious. Any response from the humans? He asked his communications officer. No, war leader. Their Mars station sent one brief transmission telling us to turn back or be destroyed. We are still attempting to stop laughing. The bridge crew shared in the amusement. Humans threatening them? It was like a mouse threatening a tiger. Maintain course. When we reach Mars, I want their station left intact. We'll broadcast their surrender from there. Let the galaxy see what happens to species that don't know their place. What Gresh didn't know was that at that very moment, Fleet Admiral Minho was watching him. Earth's long-range sensors could track every ship in the Vrelian formation, could listen to their communications, could count the weapons on each vessel. The technology was far beyond anything the Galactic Council possessed. Minho stood in the command center, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around him, holographic displays showed the entire solar system in perfect detail. Every human ship was tagged in blue. The approaching Vrelian fleet glowed angry red. "Admiral, all battle groups are in position," reported his tactical officer. Battle Group Nari confirms ready status. 200 ships standing by at Jupiter orbit. "Just 200? Minho said quietly. "Against their 4,000? "Yes, sir. As you ordered. We want them to feel confident." Minho nodded. "And the special weapons?" Chief Engineer Sora appeared on a separate display. She was calling from the research station on Luna, though officially that station didn't exist. "All systems green, Admiral. The Singularity missiles are loaded and ready. EMP nets are deployed. Railgun capacitors are at full charge." "What about the systems?" Sora grinned. "Valkyrie is awake and eager. She's already predicted 17 different tactical approaches the Vrelians might use. We have counter strategies for all of them." "Good. Remember, people, we're not just fighting a battle today. We're making a statement. The galaxy needs to understand that we are not victims. We are not weak. We simply chose to be peaceful." Minho's voice hardened. They mistook mercy for weakness. Now they learn the difference. Commander Sunho led Battle Group Nari from the bridge of the battleship Defiant. She was young for a commander, only 38, but she had trained for this her entire life. Like most of Earth's military officers, she had been part of the secret program, the one the Council never knew about. "Contacts on long-range sensors," her science officer reported. "Vrelian Second Fleet, right on schedule. 4,218 vessels. They're not even trying to hide. Why would they?" Sunho replied. "They think we're helpless. All ships, this is Defiant. Maintain position. Let them come to us. Weapons hold until my command." The Vrelian fleet advanced like a swarm of locusts. Their formation was designed to intimidate, ships arranged in a massive wall that stretched thousands of kilometers. It would have terrified most species. Sunho checked her display. Her 200 ships looked tiny by comparison. Each human vessel was only 300 meters long, sleek, and dark. The Vrelian ships were massive, some over 2 kilometers in length, covered in armor and weapons. "They're powering weapons," Tactical reported. "Launching fighters. I count over 6,000 small craft. Let them come. Valkyrie, you have the tactical network." A feminine voice filled the bridge. It was warm and friendly, which somehow made it more unsettling. "Confirmed, Commander. I have analyzed Vrelian formation pattern Delta 7, predicting their attack vectors. Optimal counterstrike plotted. They will concentrate fire on our command ships first, attempting to decapitate our leadership. They've made this mistake in 93% of their previous engagements." The Vrelian fleet opened fire. Thousands of missiles streaked across space, followed by energy beams that lit up the darkness. It was an overwhelming display of firepower, enough to destroy a planet. "Point defense active," Sunho ordered calmly. "Return fire on my mark." The human ships moved. To the Vrelians, it must have seemed impossible. The sleek vessels dodged and weaved with perfect coordination, not a single ship where the missiles expected them to be. Point defense lasers created a web of light, intercepting every projectile. Not one got through. "Their formation is optimal for our attack," Valkyrie reported. "Firing solution achieved?" "Fire," Sunho said. The human ships unleashed hell. Railguns accelerated slugs to a significant fraction of light speed. At those velocities, even a small projectile carried devastating energy. The slugs tore through Vrelian shields like they didn't exist, punched through armor, and turned the insides of ships into molten metal. Plasma lances followed, beams of superheated matter that could cut a warship in half. The Vrelian fighters simply vanished, swatted from space by point defense systems that tracked hundreds of targets simultaneously. On the Dominator, War Leader Gresh stared in horror at his displays. In the first 30 seconds, he had lost 300 ships. In the next minute, another 500. Evasive maneuvers. He screamed. Return fire. All weapons. But his ships were too slow, too predictable. The human AI had mapped every possible move, calculated every escape route. The Vrelian fleet tried to scatter, tried to flee, tried to fight. Nothing worked. Sunho watched the tactical display with professional detachment. Launch EMP-net. Let's finish this. Invisible pulses of electromagnetic energy washed over the Vrelian fleet. Shields collapsed. Weapons systems died. Ship after ship went dark, drifting helplessly in space. Singularity missiles, Sunho ordered. Target their capital ships only. We want survivors to tell the story. 8 missiles launched. Each one carried a device that Earth scientists had spent 40 years perfecting. They created tiny black holes, just for a fraction of a second. Just long enough. The largest Vrelian battleships simply ceased to exist, sucked into impossible gravity wells and crushed to atoms. The rest of the fleet, already crippled, could only watch. 14 minutes after the battle began, it was over. 4,000 Vrelian ships had entered the Jupiter sector. Fewer than 600 remained, and those were disabled. Their crews in lifeboats or waiting for rescue. Sunho broadcast on all frequencies, making sure every survivor could hear. This is Commander Sunho of the Terran Defense Force. Your fleet is destroyed. You will withdraw all forces to your homeworld immediately. If you attack any human colony, station, or vessel again, we will not be so merciful. We will come to your worlds. We will end your empire. This is your only warning. She cut the transmission and looked at her crew. Not one human ship had been lost. A few had minor damage from debris. That was all dot across the galaxy. Species that had been watching the expected massacre sat in stunned silence. The betting pools closed. The odds makers went bankrupt. And everyone, from the lowest trader to the highest council member, suddenly realized that they had made a terrible mistake about humanity. In the council chambers, Ambassador Hana received the news with a small smile. She had known, of course, but watching the reality of it was still satisfying. The galaxy had been warned. Earth was done holding back. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened within 8 hours of the Battle of Jupiter. Every species sent their representatives. The massive chamber was packed, standing room only, with delegates who had traveled through jump gates from across the galaxy. Ambassador Hannah walked through the center aisle to reach the human delegation area. She noticed the difference immediately. No one mocked her. No one laughed. The other delegates actually moved out of her way. Some looked afraid. Others looked angry. All of them looked shocked. The council director called the session to order. His tentacles quivered with barely controlled emotion. Ambassador Hana, your species has committed a grave breach of treaty. The fleet restriction clearly states 47 registered vessels. Hana interrupted. We have 47 ships registered with this council. We never said those were the only ships we had. You never asked. That is a technicality, shouted Councillor Vesh, the reptilian delegate from the Thalos Collective. You lied by omission. Hannah looked at him coldly. Like you lied about the Kalish genocide? Or did you think we didn't know about that? The chamber erupted in noise. Vesh's scales flushed dark purple. How dare you? I dare because we have evidence. Hannah activated her holographic display. Images filled the air above the council floor. Burning planets. Species being loaded onto slave ships. Military operations against unarmed colonies. The dates and locations scrolled past. We've been watching you. All of you. For 47 years, we documented everything. She let the images speak for themselves. Delegates shifted uncomfortably. Some tried to look away. The evidence was undeniable. You call yourselves peacekeepers, Hana continued. But you're not. You're a protection racket. You force young species to disarm. Then you let the strong prey on the weak. You profit from suffering. You enable monsters. These accusations are, the council director began. Recorded and verified. Hana cut him off. By the way, would you like to know our real industrial capacity? Our actual military strength? She didn't wait for an answer. The holographic display shifted, showing star charts. Blue markers appeared, hundreds of them, spreading across the map like a constellation. 840 star systems, Hana said calmly. That's how many we've colonized. Not the 12 we reported. We've been out there for decades, quietly building, preparing. Our population isn't 8 billion. It's 290 billion, spread across hundreds of worlds. The chamber went silent. Even the translator devices seemed shocked into stillness. Our fleet consists of 67,000 military vessels of various classes. Every colony is fortified. Every trade ship is armed. Every research station is actually a weapons laboratory. Hana smiled without humor. Did you really think we would trust you? We watched human history. We learned from our mistakes. Never again would we be helpless. Never again would we rely on others for protection. A delegate from the Cordy Assembly stood. They looked like tall, thin gray beings with oversized heads. This is madness. You've been preparing for war for half a century? No, Hana corrected. We've been preparing for survival. There's a difference. If we wanted war, you'd already be conquered. We have technology you can't imagine. Weapons you don't have words for. We could have taken over the galaxy decades ago. Then why didn't you? Asked a crystalline delegate. Because we wanted to believe you could be better. We gave you 47 years to prove you deserve to lead. You failed. Hana's voice grew hard. The Vrelians attacked our civilians. They killed 340,000 people. Families, children. And you did nothing. You called it a territorial dispute. You laughed at our pain. She turned to face Ambassador Krath. The Vrelian looked smaller now, his earlier arrogance gone. Your empire attacked us under council protection. The council did nothing. That makes you all complicit. Every single one of you shares responsibility for those deaths. What do you want? The council director asked quietly. Reparations? Territory? A seat on the High Council? We want nothing from you, Hana replied. We're leaving. Earth formally withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. We will no longer recognize your authority over our territory or our actions. The chamber erupted again. Voices shouted in 100 different languages. The director tried to restore order, but chaos had taken hold. Hana raised her hand. Somehow, the gesture commanded attention. The noise died down. We're not leaving alone, she said. A door at the side of the chamber opened. 12 ambassadors walked in, representing 12 different species. All of them had been oppressed by the council. All of them had suffered in silence. These species have chosen to join us. Together we're forming a new alliance. One based on equality, mutual protection, honest cooperation. The 12 ambassadors took positions beside Hana. Among them were the Kresh, a species that had been reduced to near slavery by council trade policies. The Pilar, who had lost 3 colonies to legal territorial seizures. The Melm, whose protests about environmental destruction had been ignored for generations. "You cannot do this," Councillor Vesh hissed. "If you leave Council protection, you are fair targets for any empire that wishes to try it," Hana said simply. "Please, give us an excuse." The threat hung in the air. Every delegate remembered the images from Jupiter. 4,000 Vrelian ships destroyed in 14 minutes. And that was just one battle group. Just a fraction of humanity's power. "This is illegal," someone shouted. "According to whose laws?" Hannah asked. "Council law? We don't recognize it anymore." "Universal law? There is no such thing. You created a system where the strong make the rules and the weak suffer. Fine, we're strong now. These are our rules. Leave us alone, leave our allies alone, and we'll leave you alone. Attack any of us, and we'll respond with overwhelming force." Ambassador Krath finally found his voice. "The Vrelian Empire will not accept this. We have 43,000 ships. You had 43,000 ships," Hana corrected. "You have fewer now. And if you mobilize against us, you'll have none." Commander Sunho was merciful at Jupiter. "She disabled your ships and let your crews survive. If you come at us again, we won't be so kind." She looked around the chamber one last time. "To any species here who feel oppressed, who've suffered under this council's corruption, you're welcome to join us. We offer genuine partnership, fair trade, real protection. No restrictions, no exploitation, no lies. And to the council itself, I have one final message. Improve, reform, become what you pretend to be. Because we'll be watching. And if we see another genocide, another slavery operation, another massacre like the one the Vrelians attempted on us." She paused. "We'll intervene. We'll protect the helpless, whether you like it or not." The council director's tentacles drooped. "You would make yourselves the new rulers? The new power?" "No," Hannah said firmly. "We'll make ourselves guardians. The difference is that we'll actually do the job." She gathered her files and turned to leave. The 12 allied ambassadors followed her. As they reached the door, Hana looked back one more time. Humanity spent 47 years being dismissed, mocked, and underestimated. We used that time wisely. We grew strong in secret. We prepared for the day you would show your true nature. She smiled coldly. "Thank you for finally being honest. It made this much easier." As the door closed behind them, the council chamber erupted into arguments that would last for weeks. But the outcome was already decided. The galaxy had changed. The old order was breaking dot and humanity. Once the weakest member of the Galactic Council had just announced they were done playing by rules written by tyrants. The Vrelian High Command met in their war chamber on the homeworld of Relos Prime. The room was built from dark stone, lit by fires that burned in massive braziers. 19 war leaders sat around a circular table, each representing a fleet or territory. Supreme War Leader Cross slammed his fist on the table. The impact cracked the stone. Gresh was a fool, but he was right about one thing. We cannot allow this insult to stand. The humans destroyed our second fleet. They humiliated us before the entire galaxy. Our enemies see weakness. Our allies question our strength. The humans have more ships than we realized, War Leader Tora said carefully. She was older, scarred from 100 battles. Perhaps negotiations? Negotiations? Cross roared. Never. We are Vrelian. We do not negotiate with prey. We will mobilize the entire Imperial Navy, all 43,000 ships. We will burn their worlds. We will make them beg for mercy. Around the table, the other war leaders growled in agreement. The decision was made. The Vrelian Empire would strike with everything they had. On Earth? Admiral Kwan received the intelligence reports in his office overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. He was a quiet man, thoughtful, the kind of commander who spent hours studying history and philosophy. He had hoped the Vrelians would be smart enough to back down. He was disappointed but not surprised. They're mobilizing at 19 star systems simultaneously, his intelligence officer reported. The full fleet. Every battleship, every carrier, every destroyer they have. Our analysts estimate they'll be ready to attack within 2 weeks. Then we have 2 weeks to end this, Kwan said calmly. Activate Operation Midnight. All fleets, all battle groups. We're not waiting for them to come to us. His officer blinked. Sir, we're attacking first? We're ending it first, Kwan corrected. There's a difference. Send the order. Across human space, the military machine activated. Admiral Minho coordinated from Earth. Commander Sunho took charge of the northern fleets. Captain Tae, promoted after his defense of Mars, led a rapid strike force. And Specialist Gina prepared for the most dangerous mission of all. Gina was small, quiet, and looked like she might work in a library. In reality, she commanded Earth's infiltration units. Teams trained in stealth, sabotage, and operations that officially didn't exist. You understand the assignment? Kwan asked her in a private briefing. 19 Vrelian fortress worlds. Disable their planetary shields from the inside. Don't kill civilians. Gina checked her equipment. It's ambitious. Can you do it? Give me 3 days and access to the jump network. We'll get it done. She smiled slightly. The Vrelians never bothered to secure their infrastructure. They assumed no one would dare attack them on their own worlds. Bad assumption. 3 days later, humanity's fleets jumped into 19 star systems at once. The Vrelian defenders scrambled to respond, but something was wrong. Their planetary shields flickered and died. Their automated defense platforms turned on each other. Their communication networks went chaotic. Gina and her teams had done their work perfectly. Using nanotechnology that could pass through any filter, they had infiltrated the Vrelian military computers. Now, those systems belonged to Earth. Admiral Kwan watched from the flagship Justice as the battle unfolded. His orders were specific: military targets only. No civilian casualties. Sir, we have clear shots at their population centers, his weapons officer reported. No, Kwan said firmly. We're not them. Target the shipyards, the military bases, the weapons facilities. Nothing else. But sir, the Vrelians use civilians as shields at their command centers. They're broadcasting that if we attack, we'll kill thousands of non-combatants. Kwan felt sick. He had known this moment might come. He looked at the tactical display, seeing the Vrelian strategy clearly. They had positioned their command and control centers in the middle of cities, surrounded by families. Pull back, he ordered. All ships, withdraw from any target with civilian presence. Sir? His second-in-command looked confused. That's half our objectives. I don't care. We're not murdering children to win a war. Find another way. That's when scientist Unji contacted the fleet. She was broadcasting from a laboratory that floated in deep space, far from any planet. Her face appeared on every command screen. Admiral Kwan, I have a solution. Deploy Valkyrie. Full cyber warfare protocols. We can take their systems without firing a shot. Valkyrie, Earth's military artificial intelligence, had been designed for exactly this scenario. She could infiltrate networks, disable weapons, shut down power grids, all without harming a single living being. Do it, Kwan ordered. What followed was invisible to the naked eye, but devastating to Vrelian military power. Valkyrie spread through their networks like water, flowing into every system, every computer, every automated defense. She took control of everything. Vrelian warships trying to launch found their engines wouldn't start. Weapons that tried to fire discovered empty capacitors. Communications went down. Life support stayed up. Valkyrie was programmed to preserve life, but everything military simply stopped working. On Relos Prime, Supreme War Leader Cross watched in horror as his empire collapsed around him. His ships were dead in space. His ground forces couldn't communicate. Even his personal bunker's doors wouldn't open properly. The holographic display in his war chamber activated without permission. Admiral Kwan's face appeared, larger than life. War Leader Cross, this is Admiral Kwan of the Terran Defense Force. Your military is disabled. Your fleet is helpless. Your empire's ability to wage war is ended. But your civilians are safe. Your cities are untouched. Your families are alive. Cross snarled. You think you've won? We will rebuild. We will... No, Kwan interrupted. You won't. Every ship you try to build, every weapon you try to make, Valkyrie will disable it. You're finished as a military power, but you can survive as a people if you choose. What do you want? Cross demanded. Surrender. Complete and unconditional. Demilitarization of your empire. Reparations to the families your forces killed. War crimes trials for those who were in attacks on civilians. And most importantly, a guarantee that you'll never threaten another species again. And if we refuse? Kwan's expression hardened. Then we stop being merciful. Right now, your people are safe because we chose to protect them even while fighting you. If you force us to continue this war, we'll do whatever is necessary to end it. I'd prefer not to have that blood on my hands. Don't make me. The transmission ended. Cross sat in his darkened war chamber, alone with his thoughts. Around him, his empire was dying. Not from weapons or fire, but from simply being outmatched in every possible way. 2 hours later, he sent the surrender. The war lasted 6 weeks total. 19 Vrelian fortress worlds fell without a single civilian casualty. The Imperial Navy, once proud and mighty, floated helpless in space. And the galaxy watched in amazement as humanity won a total victory while refusing to become monsters. On the Justice, Admiral Kwan sat in his quarters and cried. They had won, but 89,000 humans had died in the fighting. Every one of them had volunteered, had known the risks. But he remembered their names, their faces, their families. Commander Sunho found him there. She sat down without asking. We did the right thing, she said quietly, pulling back from those civilian targets. It cost us time and resources, but we kept our souls. Did we? Kwan asked. 89,000 of our people are dead. How many Vrelian soldiers did we kill? How many families are mourning on their worlds? Fewer than if we'd done it their way, Sunho replied. And the survivors will remember that we could have destroyed them, but chose not to. That matters, sir. That changes things. Kwan nodded slowly. He knew she was right. But the weight of command, the responsibility for all those deaths, it would stay with him forever. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council watched in silence as humanity accepted the Vrelian surrender. They set terms that were strict but fair. Demilitarization, yes. Reparations, absolutely. But no occupation, no revenge, no extermination. Humanity had proven they could win. Now they had to prove they could be better than their enemies. The hard part was just beginning. The memorial station orbited Mars in silence. It was built from the wreckage of the first Vrelian attack, transformed into a monument to remember the 340,000 civilians who had died on Titan and Europa. Now it also held the names of the 89,000 soldiers who fell in the war that followed. Captain Tay stood in the memorial hall, looking at the names scrolling past on the walls. Each one represented a life, a story, a family left behind. He found the name he was looking for, Lieutenant Bora, his youngest officer, killed when her ship took a direct hit defending a colony transport. She was 23, Commander Dohin said, appearing beside him. Wanted to be a teacher after her service ended. I know, Tay replied quietly. I wrote the letter to her parents. They stood together in silence. Outside the windows, construction crews worked on expanding the memorial. More names were being added every day as final casualty reports came in. The council is requesting a meeting, Do-hyun said. Ambassador Hannah thinks they want to negotiate. Negotiate what? We won. They lost. What's left to discuss? The future, probably. They're scared. Half the council species are talking about joining our alliance. The other half are building up their own militaries in case we decide to conquer everyone. Tay shook his head. If we wanted an empire, we'd already have one. Try explaining that to beings who've spent 10,000 years thinking that might makes right. They can't imagine a powerful species that doesn't want to dominate. On Earth, Ambassador Hannah was thinking the same thing. She sat in her office, reviewing the requests from over 40 different species asking to join the Terran Alliance. Some were genuine, looking for protection and partnership. Others just wanted to be on the winning side. Her assistant knocked on the door. Ambassador, you have a visitor. She says it's urgent. A Kresh delegate entered. The Kresh were one of the species that had joined the alliance immediately after the council session. They looked like tall, slender beings with silver skin and large eyes. Ambassador Han, my people wish to thank you. For the first time in 3 generations, we are free. The council no longer controls our trade. We can develop our own industries, make our own choices. Hannah smiled. That's wonderful, but you don't need to thank us. Freedom is a right, not a gift. Nevertheless, we are grateful. And we wish to contribute. Our scientists have expertise in energy systems. We want to share our knowledge with the Alliance. After the Kresh delegate left, Hannah sat back and considered what was happening. The Alliance was growing, but so was the responsibility. They weren't just defending themselves anymore. They were creating something new. Something that might actually work. The first Galactic Congress convened 3 months after the war ended. It was held on a neutral station, built specifically for this purpose. Unlike the council chambers with their hierarchies and designated seating, the Congress was designed as a circle. Every species had an equal position. 417 species attended. Some were former council members who had seen the writing on the wall and switched sides. Others were newly discovered species that had been hiding from the council. Many were those who had suffered under the old system and wanted something better. Secretary General. Hannah, her new title, stood at the center of the circle. The role had been offered to her unanimously. She had tried to decline, but the vote was 417 to 0. Apparently, the galaxy trusted the human who had stood up to the council. This Congress is now in session, she announced. I want to make one thing clear from the start. Earth does not control this body. We have one vote, like everyone else. We proposed this alliance because we believed in equality, and we meant it. A delegate from the Corti Assembly stood. But Secretary General, humanity has the strongest military. How can we be sure you won't abuse that power? It was a fair question. Hannah had expected it. Transparency, she answered. Every military action we take will be reported to this Congress. Every weapon we develop will be documented. And we're proposing a joint defense force where all member species contribute. Not just ships, but ideas, strategies, cultures. We're stronger together than any of us are alone. What about the council? Another delegate asked. They still exist. They still have power. Let them, Hannah said. We're not trying to destroy the council. We're offering an alternative. Species can choose. Stay with the Council and accept their restrictions. Join us and enjoy freedom. Or stay independent and trade with both. That's their choice. Over the next 6 hours, the Congress debated and voted on their founding principles. It was messy, chaotic, and loud. Delegates argued, compromised, and argued some more. But slowly, something emerged. The Treaty of New Unity established the Alliance's core values: mutual defense, free trade, protection of developing species, and most importantly, the right of every species to determine their own future. There would be no forced disarmament, no territorial restrictions, no economic exploitation. When the vote came, it passed unanimously. Admiral Kwan watched the proceedings from Earth. He had declined to attend, feeling that the military should stay separate from politics. But he was pleased with the outcome. Think it'll work? Admiral Minho asked. They were sharing a drink in Kwan's office, watching the Congress on the view screen. Maybe, Kwan said. The hard part isn't the fighting. It's what comes after. Building something that lasts, that's actually worth defending. That's the real challenge. The Council is already trying to undermine us. They're spreading rumors that we plan to invade them, that this is all a trick. Let them talk. Time will prove them wrong. Kwan paused. Or prove them right. Depends on us, really. On whether we can stay true to our principles when it gets difficult. Specialist Gina had a different perspective. She was training new recruits at the Special Operations Facility on Luna. Young people from a dozen different species, all learning the skills they'd need to protect their alliance. One of them, a crash trainee named Voss, approached her after a session. Instructor Gina, may I ask a question? Of course. Why did humanity hold back for so long? You could have revealed your strength decades ago. You could have taken control of the galaxy. Gina considered the question carefully. Because we were afraid. Not of losing, we knew we could win. We were afraid of what we might become. Earth's history is full of powerful nations that started with good intentions and became tyrants. We wanted to be sure we were different. And are you? Different? Ask me in 100 years, Gina replied with a smile. That's the test, isn't it? Anyone can be noble when they're weak. Being noble when you're strong, that's harder. 6 months after the war, Captain Tay returned to the memorial station on Mars. The construction was complete. The names of the fallen were all recorded. Fresh flowers floated in zero-gravity chambers, a gift from the creche, whose world was known for their gardens. Ambassador Hana had come too. She stood with Commander Do-hyun, both of them quiet. Do you think they'd be proud? Tay asked, gesturing to the names on the walls. Of what we've built. I hope so, Hana replied. We tried to honor them. Not with revenge, but with something better. A galaxy where their children won't have to die in pointless wars. The Council still exists. The Vrelians are rebuilding within the treaty limits. There are a dozen other empires out there that might challenge us someday. I know. This isn't the end. It's barely the beginning. But we changed the rules. We proved that strength doesn't have to mean cruelty. That power can protect instead of oppress. Hana looked at the names, at the thousands of lives lost. We owe them that. We owe them a galaxy worth dying for. Dawn nodded slowly. The Council asked me what humanity wants. I told them we want the same thing we've always wanted, to be left alone to live our lives. But if people need help, if we see injustice, we won't look away. We can't, not anymore. That's the burden of power, Tay said. Once you have it, you can't pretend you don't. They stood together, 3 humans who had helped change the galaxy, looking at the names of those who had paid the price for that change. Outside, ships came and went, carrying delegates from hundreds of worlds. Trade flourished. New species joined the Alliance daily. And somewhere in the darkness, The council plotted and schemed, but for now, there was peace. Hard won, dearly bought, and fragile as glass. But peace nonetheless. Hannah had one final task. She recorded a message to be attached to the memorial, something for future generations to find. To whoever reads this, know that we tried. We tried to be better than our enemies. We tried to build something worth preserving. We didn't always succeed. We made mistakes. But we never stopped trying. The galaxy alerted Earth that it was broken. Earth decided it was done accepting that. We're here to fix it, with you or despite you. We hope you choose with us. And we hope that by the time you read this, the galaxy we dreamed of has become real. A place where strength protects the weak. Where power serves justice. Where every species, no matter how small, has a voice. That's the dream. Help us make it reality. She ended the recording and smiled. It was idealistic, maybe even naive. But humanity had spent 47 years being cynical, preparing for the worst. Now, it was time to hope for the best while still being ready for anything. The galaxy had been warned. Earth was done holding back.